It's the 18th of July 2014. Guys, are you believing what the media are spinning right now? I've got so much to talk about this. It just isn't believable. Right, first of all, what are the chances of two Malaysian aircraft being downed within months of each other? From the same airline company. I've got two angles on this. One, right, this is an insurance job, and two, right, this is a false flag event with the pretext to start war with Russia. Here's the first one. Here's how the first one goes. The false flag, right? This aircraft that went missing, Flight 370 was it? The first one I'm talking about, the first Malaysian aircraft, was landed at some airport. It was probably taken up to an altitude. The cabin was decompressed. Everybody on that flight, apart from the pilots, suffocated. The plane was landed. The bodies was removed off the plane, put into refrigerated vehicles, and kept until now, where that plane took back off, probably by flying by wire, which doesn't require, too much or if any pilot input, and sent over the Ukraine and deliberately shot out the sky. Obviously the bodies have been put back on there, probably thawed out over 24 hours, and that's what you're looking at, the same aircraft that went missing a few months ago. And there it is in the field, blew to bits, and the fingers, as you can see in the media, are pointing to Russia. They're saying that Russia shot this plane out the sky. First of all, what was a commercial aircraft doing flying over a war zone? And what are the chances of it being the same airline company over that airspace as the same company that lost one only a few months ago? Now that's the first one, right? And I think it could be. And the only way to find out that, right, is the dental records of the bodies and the serial numbers on the plane parts. Now the second one is an insurance job, because I do not wear it for 1 minute that one airline company can lose two birds in less than a short space of 6 months or so. And the way to find out whether it was an insurance job is, again, to check the records of the aircraft, see whether the aircraft was due to be decommissioned, find out all you can about the aircraft or the airline company and its finances, whether it was in financial trouble. And if it was the second one, I wouldn't pay out 1 penny of insurance on this event, because it flew purposely over a war zone. And if that is, and I'm pretty sure the insurance company would say the same, that aircraft had no business flying in that zone, right? But if we are talking about two different aircraft there, guys, and they are insurance jobs, right, we're not only dealing with some murdering bastard, right, who thinks more about money and less about life. I just don't believe it for 5 minutes that we are looking at another Malaysian airliner, right, that has been downed. One's been lost, one's been downed. If you ask me, it's too much of a coincidence. Is it the same aircraft? And the other thing is, it's going to be very difficult for aircraft investigators to go out there, despite what the United States are saying, that we will be sending experts over there. I wouldn't send an American over there right now, especially from any department of aviation or anything like that, because you just cannot trust these guys. This propaganda that gets spun within minutes of an event and fingers being pointed at Russia is just not cutting it for me, I'm afraid. Why would you send, if it is, an American organisation involved in this, which I believe it is, and there are, as you know, some rumours that this original aircraft that went missing landed in Diego Garcia, which is an American airbase. Now, if it was landed in Diego Garcia, the bodies were refrigerated, put back on the plane after they'd thawed yesterday, sent over this area and shot down, and then blaming Russia, that would be a pretext for war, if you ask me. as well as, you know, the other one that happened supposedly in the week where a warbird was shot down over the Ukraine as well. And again, it was supposedly the Russians that did that. They are trying to pull the Russians into the Ukraine so that the NATO forces can have their feed. You see, when bullets and bombs are being fired, pennies are being earned by these big organisations and countries. You know, we've been in a recession for 17 years. If you go back into history, 1939, you will see there was the Great Depression just before a world war took place, and we are seeing that same thing. And you know what? We came out of the recession after the World War, and these sociopaths, psychopaths, are doing the exact same thing. They are trying to get a world war going where they can cause collateral damage and build, you know, thousands and millions of pounds worth of armaments to be, you know, just wasted in a field. It is absolutely, you know what, people, they are bringing hell upon earth right now. And this will be the one video I'll put up. There's another video. I want to show you something because you need to see something, right? This will be in the next video a taster of what you are about to see. If you do not get off your arses and do something about it, it is time not to just say we are okay, Jack, right? Whilst watching kids blow up on a beach in another country in Gaza, watching the Israelis go in there on a land offensive, wiping out families. I'm sick of seeing this murdering amongst other human beings, and I don't care what nationality you come from. You know, stop it. It's got to stop. This is disgusting. Another 200 lives. If it's not the same aircraft and the same bodies on that plane as what went missing, which I believe it is. There is the two scenarios here: an insurance job, or it's the same aircraft and it's been used as a false flag attack thing to get a war going with Russia. Right? Either way, right? There is, you know, hundreds of people that have been murdered as part of this plan. I just cannot believe it. If you want to allow this earth to descend into hell, then you just sit on your arses doing nothing about it, and it will, I guarantee you, it will come. You can either have a heaven or a hell. It's your choice, guys. Sitting back doing nothing resolves nothing. I've proved this. These people know exactly how much activity you are prepared to put in. They have been studying you with psychology for years and years, guys. They want to cause this planet to turn into a meat grinder, and it slowly is, and it's on the precipice of turning into a World War III. And the only people that will come out worse in this engagement will be the general public, civilians. And right now, we've been turning in the West a blind eye to all this murdering that's been going on around the rest of the world, and that isn't the way. What we should have been doing, right, was strongly opposing any form of violence or war or conflict, and we haven't. You know, they know they've only got to put on a few stories, you know, get their media groups to cover a few stories, you know, send the story off in a certain direction so that it gets your anger and you're up for war. They use you like a fiddle. They play you like a fiddle. It's got to stop. You know, this is, you know, if this is a second Malaysian aircraft, what are the chances, guys? It wasn't British Airways, it wasn't Britannia Airways, it wasn't American Airlines. It was the same company that has lost two birds. If it is another plane, I think that what we're looking at is what they've been searching for since that original aircraft went missing. I do. I think that we're looking at A380. That flight 370 was it, or 380? Virtually the same amount of passengers on board. Like I say, there is a way of doing it, and that is a public investigation into this crash. Check the dental records, check the serial numbers on this aircraft, and see if they match up with the records, if they haven't been already doctored, guys. It's getting very difficult with these, because they do when they try and pull a stunt like this, they do try to make it believable. What I'm saying is, you've probably got the serial numbers and part numbers off of, you know, the aircraft that they're supposing went missing right now. I just can't believe it, you know, guys. This, you know, if we carry on, you know, turning a blind eye, not doing anything about this, you know, these elite, this is how they go about their business. You know, it's all right to make a few shekels on a couple of hundred dead people. There are ways of doing this. If them bodies were refrigerated, then put back on the aircraft, there will be cellular tissue damage, despite, you know, the fact that the bodies would have been damaged as they fell from the ground. You know, just do, you know, the dental records, check the cellular, because obviously they couldn't have kept them bodies, those dead bodies, unless they refrigerated them, because they would have rotted. The flesh would have rotted off them. They'd have had to refrigerate them, defrost them, put them back on the plane and send it over there. I know it sounds ludicrous, guys, what I'm supposing here. It sounds absolutely ludicrous, right? But did a missile hit that plane? You know, is this a second airline that's gone down from the same airline company? Something is terribly wrong about all this, and we're on the precipice, possibly, of a, you know, full-scale world war. How many more countries, anyhow, have to be engaged in a war before we classify it as a world war? When will humans ever learn? Like I say, guys, I'll do another video later on. I just had to say something about this. When I seen that second airline from Malaysian Airline company has gone down, I thought, no, this isn't, I'm not having that. 2 strikes of lightning on the same spot. Come on. How many other airline companies are there? And how many other airline companies were flying over this region? What a perfect place to do a private investigation in the middle of a civil war. There's something not right about this. Tune in later, guys, because I really think you'll benefit from seeing what you're going to see in the next video that I'm going to put up. I want you to see that, you know, because you've got to face it. You've got to face facts. What's happening in this world is taking place. But like I've always said, right, there's a lot more that takes place on this channel than just the pole shift. It covers other events. It covers, you know, looking into the technologies of free energy and stuff like that. You know, tune in later on, guys, for that next video, because it's guarantee you now it's going to be an eye-opener for you. I'll say what I usually do, you know. Bye for now.